All right, exciting stuff. We are back with another edition of the Pocket Change Market Report, this time for September 10th, 2022. I hope everyone's doing well this fine Saturday morning / afternoon. We're going to take a look and see what kind of errors and varieties that people have been finding and subsequently selling on eBay. A lot of great sales here this week. You guys checked out my Wednesday edition. I did a little bit of an abbreviated kind of report. I think I'm going to start doing that for the Wednesday ones. Not really loading up with, like 30 to 40 coins like I usually do. So I did, 25 or 26. So I'm going to shorten it up a little bit. But these Saturday ones, the ones that are a little bit more impactful because people are off work, they're actually out there, going through coin rolls, they're hunting through coin dealer stock and doing the show circuit, which, by the way, these are all ways that you could find a lot of these coins. This is going to be the time. And as we get into the fall season, where generally the numismatics market begins to heat up because everybody's back from vacationing and summer's coming to a close here, this is just a really good time to ratchet up and double down on the efforts of some of the coins that, believe it or not, have a tremendous secondary market. All right, all courtesy of eBay and a few other sites. Social media is pretty big as well, Facebook Marketplace, and various other coin groups and forum sites as well. All recognize a lot of these coins. However, you're probably not going to find too much interest in a lot of these through local coin shops if you're trying to sell immediately. Really, the important thing is identifying these, adding something really nice to your collection, or reselling as kind of like a secondary type of income. We are approaching the holidays. There are some pretty big coins that are out there floating around in circulation. Now might be a time to actually going out there and ratcheting up your efforts in finding some of these coins just by going through circulation type pocket change stuff. So a few things to cover before we jump into the actual list. All the coins not graded, no graded coins whatsoever in the list. The big idea is that grading is a pretty big expense that maybe you just don't need. A $20 error will still be a $20 error even after the grading. And, we're going to take a look at some of the coins here that certainly sell for themselves, as with most errors and varieties do. And these are all sales from about the last 48 hours. So pretty recent sales as of this video. All right, let's go ahead and jump right in. What do we have? All right, we're going to start it off with a 2-coin set here. Probably coins that you could easily cherry pick out of just bulk Buffalo nickels. A lot of coin shops have these available, usually for kids to kind of pick through, and it's very cheap. I've seen them sell for anywhere from 75 cents to as high as $2 a piece. But what we have here, 2 coins. One is a 1919D, which is a coin on the right, and a 1927D. Not exactly the most common of dates, but, when they're in low grade, they're just like any other date, a Buffalo nickel. What we have here is a pair of defective planchets. So we got some annealing issues, some laminations, things of that nature. So you'll see that right here on this one. And then on the obverse, you have certain little areas there with a little tab. Do not pull those, by the way. I've actually had folks that say, should I go ahead and pull that and detach it right off the coin? Is it worth more? No, it's actually damage at that point. But you can just see all the various splits and striations here indicating that lamination or something relevant there. The backs of the coins are pretty clean. The 1927 has more of a full date than the other one, of course. Although grade-wise, not very high, and that's why these are bargain pickups. So for the pair, they ended up selling for $19.99. So if you have these and you just don't know what to do with them, pair them up, sell them in lots of 3, 4, 5, 10, whatever you want to do, and move them because there will be some interest. Our first piece of currency comes in the way of this 1974 $1 Fed Reserve note. You'll notice that the overprint, which features the serial numbers and seals, are all misaligned on this particular note, which means the whole entire sheet has been affected. So you see everything is misaligned to the right. This is what I would consider to be a very major misaligned error. Very nice looking note, by the way. It doesn't exhibit a whole lot of circulation wear. This one ended up hammering on eBay for $176.78, with 28 total bids getting there. A little bit of a reverse image for you, just showing the overall condition. It looks to be a very uncirculated example. I don't see any indication of a fold lines or something to that effect. Pretty cool one here, although the likelihood that you'll find these roll hunting, especially as major as this one is, might be a little bit on the slim side. 1988D Kennedy half dollar. With this one has actually two curved clips. You have one extremely prominent size clip. You also have some pretty nice Blakesley effect action, which is a flattening of the opposite side rims to those clips. You also have another little small clip between the B and E and Liberty there. Pretty nice higher grade example. This might have been found, roll hunting. I know there have been instances where folks have come across a little bit more minor rim clip Kennedy half dollars, and those are fine. They're still worth some sort of cash on the market. This particular one right here sold for $25.58, and that's with 8 total bids on this one. Now, this one, I'm hoping that you guys are not a stranger to this, but, we've seen just an overall deviation from the general quality control from the Philadelphia Mint especially. But, yeah, this is a 2019 Lincoln Shield scent, and you can see it's got the what they call a field-restricted strike-through. That's something that'll never get old, especially when we're continuing to see this type of anomaly on all the new coins, going all the way up to the current releases right now. They're actually plagued with them. But really, that's just some grease on the die that's been pushed around by the feeder finger. Usually those are accompanied by some feeder finger scrapes. You can see a little bit on here, especially right here in this area. You can see a little bit of the feeder finger gouges. Always a popular coin. They do get a lot bigger, but if you're able to find this type of error where the strike through is coming out of the mouth, people have mentioned that one's like cigar smoke variety or error or whatever, or just Lincoln smoking in general. That those have a little bit more extra value because it's tied in to the appearance of something. And this one right here sold for $10. Again, anytime you could get 1,000 times face value for any coin is a pretty good sale. Really neat one here. I can imagine that this one was picked a long time ago, but it's a 1918 S, very tough date. Lincoln Wheat Cent, this one looks to be more or less a uncentered broad strike than it is off-center, although you can make the argument that it's either or at this point. Very nice brown, circulated, but it looks like it might have been cleaned a long while ago and then retoned. There are a few scratches in the fields behind Lincoln's bust. This particular coin sold for $130. Very unlikely that you come across these on a regular basis. They are actively pursued by off-center Lincoln era enthusiasts who are looking to create an ensemble of a date set or a date run of these coins, and it's proving to be a very, very tough task for those that are involved. All right, we got a couple of some of the more common off-center strikes, and they're quite minor. These actually, I've pulled a few of these out of change during my time. This is a 1999 Lincoln Memorial, off-center by just a smidge, like maybe 5% or thereabouts. Coin is in really nice shape. Again, one of the more common dates because these were pulled out of U.S. Mint canvas bags back in the day in varying degrees. This one sold for $14.99. Generally, because of how common they are, I would trade them in for $10 to $20 all day long. Same goes for 2001, another common date. And this one, about the same type of off-center spread, 5% thereabouts, $14.49. So for whatever reason, this one ended up selling for 50 cents less than the other one, which both, by the way, were buy it now listings. Pretty cool one here, 2005P. Looks to be another broad strike because we do have some semblance of a rim here on this end here. But again, someone could say, oh, it's off center. It's kind of like same into both, especially when they're this minor. But the coin's in really nice shape. Roosevelt Dimes are probably the least collected favorite errors out there, but they still have their niche audience. This particular coin sold for $24.79. And again, that's all attributing to the fact that there are not nearly as many U.S. Mint errors on dimes than any other denomination. All right, so this is a cool one here, and as well worn as this Steely is, it's a 1943S, by the way, in case you haven't really figured it out. But this is your prototypical oxidized circulated steel cent. From new to this stage, it really gets ugly. The coins did not wear very well, and at the time it served its purpose because they were rationing things like copper and nickel and all that for the war efforts. But interesting one right here, and we've seen this quite a few times on 43Ps and 43Ss, the San Francisco mints especially, but it's either got a weak or missing 4 and mint mark, although you still have the 1, 9, and 3 present. Now, this particular error has been tossed around as being like a strike through or filled dies, but in the not so recent past, one of the main error attributors and variety attributors out there, Ken Potter, had mentioned that this is something possibly called die basoning. It's quite an elaborate explanation die basoning is, but because of the thin zinc plating on there during the strike, a lot of the pressure is on the middle of the coin. Okay, and then if you see any other coin struck, you have die flow lines, right? The die kind of flows outwards to fill in the striking chamber, and eventually the coin will hit the collar. Okay, which is where the coin stops during this elongation process, I guess. So somewhere along the line, the zinc plating bunches up and clogs the die in both the 4 and the S mint mark, creating this weakness. I think I got that right. Again, there are some publications out there describing die basoning, and it's quite elaborate, and it can be tough to understand. So I hope I got that right, but if Ken, if you're listening, I know that you do me good and kind of elaborate on what this is. But anyways, I thought I'd throw that out there. It could be anything, but it's been quite intriguing to a lot of folks that have come across these. I know much higher graded examples have sold for a little bit more. This one right here sold for $13.49. Pretty fair considering its condition. I've seen them sell for a lot less. There was actually another one that sold for, I think, like $6-7 within the same time frame. Okay, so I'm not going to knock on this seller, but he or she dubbed this one as a fancy serial number, and it looks good with the exception of the fact that there's that 0 at the very beginning. They had mentioned this as being a radar or a super radar. I don't know if they use the word super, but it definitely radar or fancy serial number was in the titling. But this is on a brand spanking new $2 bill, 2017 A series. Can't believe they're still printing these. They don't see nearly as much deserved circulation just because it's an oddball denomination. But aside from that pesky 0, you have a 9, 5 2s, and another 9. So if that was actually full, where the 0 is a 9, and then 6 2s, and then the 9, you would have a super radar. Those particular notes are worth anywhere from $80 to $100 raw. They are quite valuable, actually. One of the more tougher fancy serial numbers to collect. However, this one right here, not too bad. Sold for $24.24. There is some trade off here with that extra zero, and that's why it's sold for the amount it did. But hey, again, 12 times face value on currency is pretty good. So take the profit and run. The back of the note for you: this thing is minty, crispy, fresh. Just printed yesterday, I would imagine. A little bit of a close-up, and then someone will point out that last nine slightly turned, almost like gas pump style. It's not anything major, but, it is on there. So probably the coolest find / discovery of the week has to be this 1864 Indian head cent. That's exactly what it is. It's actually double struck. It's a uniface strike, of course, but... Yeah. What's with all of the corrosion and crud on there? Well, would you guys believe that this was dug out of the ground? What do you guys think about that? And aside from all the corrosion spots, the coin is in generally pretty nice shape. But man, I kind of find it really strange that one of the major mint errors for earlier coins was found out of the ground. But if you needed extra proof, guys, there's the coin before it was cleaned up a little bit and washed. Beautiful. Man, this thing is stunning. But yeah, this is, I believe this is a bronze 1864. It's not the white cent type. And it's not the pointed bust either, so it's not the L on ribbon, thank God. Although that would have been pretty phenomenal. But yeah, you're never going to believe, man. This thing right here, really great find. $384.45 was the final sale price of this monster. With a really good story. 14 bids is what this one ended up at. And again, the likelihood that these type of major mint errors will be pulled out of the ground, well, probably not going to be the case. It was probably a metal detecting find also. Now, not fancy, but here's the 1988 Lincoln Memorial. It's off center by about 10-12%, give or take. Pretty cool find. Not particularly a tough date, but, it's a good one to have. That's not a 99 to 2001. $15.98. 14 bids strong for this one. So a lot of interest. I would say someone's probably putting together a date set. And again, nothing fancy, but just just one of the prospects of what you can find out there today. This is it's a 1900s, much more later dated 1900s, of course, Lincoln Memorial. Strike through all around, lots of grease on those dies, attributing to a lot of weakness on both the obverse and reverse of the coins, so much so that the date is barely visible or readable. $6 is what this one sold for, which is about right. That's the going rate for these. Pretty cool one here. This is a dual error. 1981 P Jefferson Nickel, very nice, brilliant, uncirculated example, is both a broad strike and a curved clip. There is a little bit of Blakesley effect, but yeah, pretty neat find right here. Probably at one point discovered out of a Fed Reserve canvas bag. Again, some of these errors pop out of there, and depending on the date, quite a few of them pop out. This one right here sold for $78.80. Again, dual errors on these nice mid-state coins are all the rage. And again, we're going to revisit another just really good, I'm just saying good example of the two feathered buffaloes, and they occur on a number of different dates for the series, but this is a 1921 P. Not too great looking, but it even has a few little scratches on there. But if you're able to pick up one of these in the good old bargain basement, bin or whatever at your coin shop, then you will do really well. This was an easy $20 bill for the sale, and I would take that all day long. The two feathers are very, very widely collected for their respective enthusiasts. However, they're beginning to look for much higher grades, AU and up, and they're just not out there. A lot of them are very well circulated. All right, pretty cool star note here. Again, I had that video the other day chronicling the duplicate star note printings from both the Washington, D.C. and Fort Worth facilities back in the heyday, the not too distant heyday, but they are 2013 B, New York District star notes. And this one right here is a Fort Worth printing. You can see the FW right here next to the printing plate number credentials. The Washington D.C.'s will not have the anything right there. So, these are traded and put into a registry, and the idea is, to match up the same serial numbers for both the D.C. and the Fort Worth printings, and they're worth quite a bit more if folks are able to pair them up. All right, that's kind of like the big chase with these, and there's actually a pair on eBay right now for $30,000 or best offer. No one's bid on it. Obviously, it's a buy it now or best offer, but it's still very expensive. I think the last set sold for some stupid, ridiculous amount of money. I'd have to say like $7,000 to $8,000 or something like that. But yeah, that's kind of the chase with these, and currency collectors are kind of like pursuing these the best that they can, and they're buying them all up, which makes the individual notes quite valuable. This one, $22.50, 13 bids collected on that one. All right, we've seen a few clips. How about another good one, 1964D? A little bit tougher date, nothing to write home to mother about, but yeah, pretty nice sized curved clip. This one sold for $12.97. It's generally problem-free, which is nice. And there were a few really nice, scarce, off-center struck Washington quarters. I mean, really nice. Nothing like minor. This one right here is off-center by about 20%. It's a 94p. Coin is in really nice BU, nice condition. Again, for collectors of this error series type, they want the nicest grades. This one sold for $37.95, and that's with 11 bids. And one of my favorite coins to hunt through, 1972 Lincoln Memorials, offer a bevy of different varieties, all double dies, by the way. And this one is DDO number 8, FS108. The actual seller of this has a number of them available, and he sold 2 of them in a span of a few hours. Okay, it might even be less than that, but this one's really neat, very cool, and very, very mint state red, which is what I like to see. But there's a little bit of the doubling that you could expect to find on FS108, which is what this one is. The date is even very impressive on this, but the seller has had some pretty good success offloading these for a very good amount of money. I would imagine he or she found a number of rolls of these. This one sold for $133.90. Graded examples, very nice high graded examples, sell for a lot more than that. All right, so this is a fresh discovery. I believe it was attributed a few months ago. This was actually one that we talked about for the very first time on our live coin Q&A show. All right, that's our Monday evening live streams. So, yeah, we've had quite a few of new discoveries come through our emails, and we've sent all these folks over to the appropriate attributors to get them cataloged. So this is a Maya Angelou 2022 quarter. Coin overall is pretty nice shape, but it does show a little circulation wear, a few little rim dings. But this is VDDR number 1. So this is a Variety Vista variety, which has the doubled earring. Yeah, this is a pretty neat one out there. There are a few different types found as of now, and I think maybe 2 or 3 have been attributed so far by Dr. Wiles. So what do you expect to earn from such a find? Well, this one right here ended up selling for $44.90, which I'm willing to bet a lot of you right now are probably thinking, wow, that's a pretty good amount of money. And it is. That was with 2 bids collected. And in case you're wondering, if you guys have any of the good old presidential dollars all sealed up in these type of roll paper, guess what? Do not give them away for face value. I know a lot of people like to drop these off in the bag and just forget about them because, well, the presidential dollar series was overall a very forgetful series or forgettable series. Or they could be both. I know I've done both, forgettable and forgetful. But yeah, these actually have a little bit of value over face value. It's always better to sell these in bulk if you have them. Like we have 4 rolls here. They're all different presidents, which is meaningful to would-be collectors. This one sold for, what do we got? $140.45. And yeah, pretty crazy. 19 bids. So this was a bidded auction for that amount of money. Pretty crazy. So yeah, $40 over face value is not too bad. I would take that. Here's another one of those really nice off-center strike errors, Washington quarter-wise. Here's the 89p. Now, this is a tough date, but the coin is very nice. Very, very nice. This one sold for $140. So, again, the price indicates that this is a tough date. All right, so we talked about the gas pump turn digit error. Here's one right here, and this is on a newer 2017 dollar bill. You can see that 3 in the serial number is turned a little bit, so it's a little bit higher than the rest of them. Yeah, this is minor. I mean, I'm not going to josh you, but if you did find these, would you really throw it back? Or if you're an avid seller on eBay, this might be something good for you guys to consider moving along, depending on what it is. This one right here sold for $12.98 with 8 bids. So there were multiple people interested in this little anomaly. And if you do find them, keep in mind, $10, $20 sale is better than a poke in the eye. All right, it's very seldom do we see curved clips on much newer coins. But here's a 2020 Tallgrass Prairie quarter with a curved clip. The obverse picture, that was the best one. The best photo on the actual, whatchamacallit, on the obverse there. But yeah, pretty neat. Good find. Nothing that I would say I would throw back. This one sold for $34.50. Again, lending to the actual rarity of this particular error. You just don't see these often. All right, we didn't have much in the way of bulk lots. We have this one, though. And, I think the opportunity is all but stripped out of this one. It's a lot of 5 coins, 4 Lincoln cents, and the Roosevelt Dime. They're all off-center. The only problem is there's no readable date on any of them, which kind of deflates the overall appeal and desirability for these on the secondary market if you resold them singularly. The lot itself sold for $52, and that's with 9 bids. So a lot of people pumped money into it. That's a $10 or ish, $10.40 ish per piece cost, which is high for these right here. The one neat coin is definitely this one here with the squared edge on the off center. That one is, I believe, a saddle strike off center coin. So there's another Lincoln that was also off center that butted up against that one. So, there might be a matching pair somewhere out there. The likelihood you'll find it in the sea of Lincoln cents might be a little slim. Yeah, but $52 is where this one's at. All right, we don't talk about Red Seal legal tender notes too often, but hey, if you did come across one of these, say at a coin shop for like $5, take it. Star notes on $2 bill legal tenders with the red ink are quite common. They're all over the place. They're not rare at all, but this one, keep in mind, has a little bit of a low serial number. So in a way, it is a fancy. I like to see 5 leading zeros, but I'm not going to tell you to just kind of restrict yourself to 5 leading zeros and a 3-digit serial. Pull these out too. For instance, this one sold for $51, guys, and that's with 35 bids. So obviously with the star and the low serial and it's a legal tender note, you have just the ingredients to make a really nice sale. There's a reverse image showing some circulation wear and possibly a little bit of a margin tear up here, which is quite minor and didn't really affect the sale any. All right, we got a $5 bill. Sorry for the out of focus pictures on this one. That's just the quality provided by the seller listing, but you can see that we have a misaligned printing here of the first print. The actual overprint is perfectly centered on the actual note. The back of the note, you can see, is pretty well centered, so it's just that first overall print. The seller stated there was a rejection mark, which is usually a red wax crayon mark on either the front or back of the note, and I just didn't see that. So anyways, pretty cool find right here. This one sold for $104.80 with 19 bids. Again, misaligned print notes are quite valuable. All right, we do have a number of listings, quite a few of them actually, from Sullivan Numismatics. He usually throws a few listings on eBay, and they're all auction style. He does have a fair amount of buy it nows, which are all kind of like nutty. You can even find some of them on his website, sullivannumismatics.com. How about this 1980S? Man, kind of a tough date here. Susan B. Anthony with some strike through. A lot of weakness on the obverse there. The reverse looks okay. Although you'll see a little bit of remnants of strike through on the moon surface here. Pretty cool. So this one right here sold for $15.50 with 7 bids. Not a terrible amount of money, but strike throughs, they kind of have a ceiling regardless of the coin. If there was more of a strike through where maybe a lot of the dates missing, some of the more of Liberty was disappeared on there, then it would be worth a lot more money. Sullivan also had this one here. It's I guess a 1998 is what he figured on this Candy half dollar. Again, struck through grease on the obverse there. And this one sold for $14.09 with 7 bids. Again, it looks like your prototypical coin roll hunting find. So if you do come across something like this, keep in mind they're worth some money. Now this one's neat. Double clips traditionally aren't very impressive, but when they're like this and both clips are like about the same size, that is something to adore. 1996 P Washington quarter, very nice condition coin, although Sullivan has notated a minor wheel mark, which looks like it could be this little thing here next to the date. This thing was probably maybe in a machine that will be inserted into a roll, and it just scraped up against one of the components of that machinery. But yeah, impressive looking coin. $27.25 with 6 bids was the final sale on this one. And another one of my favorite Cud die breaks. This is actually the only Cud on the list this week, or today rather. This is the obverse Cud that's over the date on the Washington quarter, and it's also got the retained Cud on the reverse there over the word United. There are examples without the reverse retained Cud, but this is definitely the more impressive of the two. The coin, very well circulated. People are still finding these out there today. It's a Philadelphia minted coin. Don't know what the date is specifically. And this one sold for $128.09. 18 bids strong on this one. And a very scarce Jefferson Nickel, 1968D, with a full date and mint mark. Thank goodness there is that. Off center by 80% is what's on this one. Again, another really nice coin with a few little verdigris corrosion spots there on the obverse, but it's okay. Again, for a date collector, this is one that doesn't pop up too often. $42.98 was the final sale. 9 bids collected. Pretty nice one here. Again, we've seen a few of these. This is a 1985 P Jefferson Nickel that was struck through a late stage cap die. All right, so there was actually a coin that was stuck to the actual hammer die and had struck a bunch of other coins to the point where it's about razor thin on that die face. And so when it gets to that point, it'll strike through some of the base design details from the die, through the die cap, and onto the coin. This one sold for $24.28 with 6 bids. And I believe this is the final Sullivan numismatic slot. There might actually be one more. No, there's a couple more. 1965 Lincoln Memorial Cent with a obverse 12% indent right there. So there was another blank planchet overlapping this one during the strike, and that's how you get the indent, as you see here. This one sold for $22.49 with 8 bids. Yes, we do have a few more. 1977D off-center struck. Very, very scarce. Very difficult date to find for collectors of this type of error. 65% off-center is what was calculated on this one. But this is a good sale at $43 with 14 bids. And then finally, the big doozy to end off the PCMR for the week is another Sullivan Numismatics marquee piece. 1966, not 40% silver-clad Kennedy half dollar, which is a clamshell that split after the strike had occurred. So I don't know if it was helped along at one point. It's kind of hard to decipher. Usually you'll see some of the material here at the break kind of like flipped up a little bit. This one looks like it's split a long time ago. Generally, when you come across the clamshell lamination, you don't want to really split it, right? But this one right here is a two-piecer that's together. And again, thank goodness, that's what collectors care about. Sold for $66, and that's with 16 total bids on this one. Wow, that is a stunner to end it off on. That's going to go ahead and do it for this one. Happy hunting for all of you partaking in the good old coin roll hunting or going to the shows and shops. It's going to get a lot more active. You might even have a little bit more difficulty finding coins, as other people are going to be kind of doing the same thing. But that's going to wrap it up for this Saturday edition of the PCMR. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. As always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my video. If you haven't done so already, or the channel. Putting up new videos on TikTok, so come check me out at Blue Ridge Silverhound. I'm on there as well. But yeah, good luck. Go get them, guys. Find yourself some treasure.